in at least 20.
I think how I'm planning the structure to run this meeting is if Mayor, if you could give a brief overview of kind of what the proposal is, and then I'm not sure if you also want to go through the map as well, but the purpose of this meeting is to revisit the DORA and then any other business that may become before the committee. So I will hold also any public comment or questions until the end. Kathy will allow the public to come in once we have been able to get through everything that needs to, just to make sure the meeting moves forward as possible.
What's your,
so,
okay, I got your email address. Okay.
Mayor, I will pass it over to you if you don't mind.
Yep.
Yeah, let me get on it.
Yeah, that's
looking for
perfectly
this
fine. Let
one.
me get things pulled up here on my
problem.
screen. So all of council was sent the map and the proposed application. This is one of the items that I know you had already set up the meeting ahead of time for this because of the request from local business owner Eric Kibler from the Laird Arcade Brewery. But we had been working for some time here locally trying to get DORA reorganized or resubmitted to council. The original goal was to do that at the very first meeting in January of this year. And unfortunately, due to my being out of the office due to back surgery, I was unable to have that ready. I, of course, wanted myself available to be able to discuss it with council. I would not have been available. And then we prepared to submit it upon my return. And then we had the coronavirus outbreak, which prohibited us from doing that. So we're a little behind with what we'd like to be. But out of the small business reopening task force that I put together, one of the ideas that we heard from downtown business owners especially was the necessity for DORA. In fact, we even heard that from some bar and restaurant owners who are not in the downtown. They still realize the benefit of having a DORA available. So really it was unanimous consent coming out of the task force that DORA needs to be reintroduced as soon as possible. So the application is written. I credit Amy Reinhardt and Brent Howard and Matt Watson with a lot of the help between getting the application written and the maps put together, the address list and whatnot. So what we have, and you all, if you want, can bring it up and follow along with it. It's in your emails. I apologize if I'm looking in a different direction because I've got two screens here. I'm looking at the application, but our proposal coming out of the Downtown Development Committee and the Small Business Task Force was to have the DORA passed. It would be at the June 22nd City Council meeting. Really can't do it any quicker than that because it requires certain time periods in between readings and the public hearing. So it would, if we're able to have a special meeting on Monday, June 22nd, it could be passed with an emergency, so it would go into effect immediately. And then we could begin implementing items from the DORA. A lot of this is because council will be getting a request very soon also to allow for expanded downtown seating and into the right-of-way at places that the city owns. We're going to allow restaurants and bar owners to apply for right-of-way permits that would cost them nothing to apply for the permit, that they could have additional seating outdoors. They may even want to expand into some of the town areas such as Lions Club Park, etc. So the county commissioners have graciously offered up a couple of their parking lots if business owners would like to put out tables, etc. We're willing to allow for that in some of our parking lots as well. So DORA really goes hand in hand. I hope council's had the opportunity to watch the news clip that I'd sent out from Hamilton, Ohio and Lebanon, Ohio. They interviewed local bar and restaurant owners flat out who said that literally they credit their staying open throughout this coronavirus pandemic because that DORA existed. That is why they've been able to stay open. So it's, in our opinion, very important. So what we have proposed is a 7-day-a-week DORA, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. That would allow for no confusion. And it also has increased boundaries from the last go-around. If you pull up your map, you'll notice it does go further north to include the Viaduct and Fort Mill Pizza. And it was extended a little bit south to include JT's Bagel Bar, even though they do not sell alcohol. She was on one of our small business task force calls and talked about that she feels that it's potential that her business may be benefit from this. It also helps businesses down that south end of town, such as Hunan King and Jack and Doe's. They do not sell alcohol, but two other businesses right in the area, being Clover Club and GW's, do. We also have included parking lot areas because, as I discussed, we are going to allow restaurants to utilize parking lots for additional tables.
Hello.
And also included a few additional alleyways because we are willing to at least consider if a restaurant thinks that it will help them out to close an alleyway on Friday and Saturday nights to increase their seating. We may, depending on if it clears the hurdles of Traffic Safety Committee, we may allow for those alleys to be closed in the evenings for them to put out additional tables as well. So this is a larger DORA area. It's expanded hours. But the benefit that I hope council's willing to at least give it the trial this time is that it has a sunset. It will end December 31st of 2020. So if city council does not vote to renew that DORA, it will expire. I know last time, I think some of the consternation at least was over the fact that council would have had to have acted to make any changes, and they were afraid that there might not be any way to ever pare it back. Well, this means DORA expires and is no longer in place unless council renews it. So hopefully that gives council a little bit more leeway to consider this application and pass DORA, give us this, by the time it would pass would be less than 6 months for us to try it, see how it works. And then council could choose at the end of the year to either renew it as is, renew it with changes, or decide to discontinue it and not renew it whatsoever. So it would put a lot more authority and power in council's hands versus the previous submittal from last year when it really would have just continued in perpetuity unless council was to act on that. So I know that was a lot of information. I'm happy to answer any questions. It may be easier, I guess, if we take specific questions, Chairwoman Boyle, instead of me just basically continuing to talk. So maybe if we ask specific questions, it would be a little more thorough.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor based on the proposal he just?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Reg.
I have a question for Steve. Steve, you were one of the people in opposition to this the last time. How does this sound to you now?
I'm the one that asked to bring it forward during the downtown development meeting last Monday.
Okay.
I endorsed it.
Well, I read your email. It sounded like you did, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
One other thing. I think one of the issues the last time we discussed this, it seemed that we had agreement on passing it, and then when it came to the vote, it got voted down. So I'd like to know that, you know, we've got consensus on this. I think personally, I think it's I was in favor of it the last time. I'm definitely in favor of it now. I agree with Steve. I think that it's going to be important for our local businesses to help them out. So it's unfortunate that we got to wait until June 22nd. Is that what you said, Mayor?
Yes.
Prove it. So I'd like to get it done faster than that, but anyway, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah. Ken?
I had to unmute myself. Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for letting me join in. I have about 6 or 7 questions. I can wait till the meeting tonight to ask them, or
No.
now the time.
Yep.
Okay.
No.
Here we go. I've got a little list here. splash pad. I'm not comfortable with the splash pad being in there with the children, et cetera, and et cetera. But if they're definitely not opening this summer, then that's not an issue, correct?
Yes, that was the information that I received from Mr. Cal now is that
Okay,
the splash pad will be closed for all of the summer of 2020.
right. Up near south end of town, St. Joe's, it cuts right in front of St. Joe's Church, and that's because of the crosswalk to get to the other side.
Let me pull the map up.
Yeah, it's just, looks like it's real close to St. Joe's Church, but that's probably where the crosswalk is to get across those 4 or 5 streets.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. The alley goes behind GW's and Rogers Flowers and all that stuff. That's part of the boundary line, correct?
I believe the goal is, I don't know how I can zoom in here on my map. The goal is to have GW's parking lot be in it.
Okay.
I zoomed in, yeah. So because that way he could expand his outdoor seating significantly in his parking lot, whereas right now his parking lot is not included on his liquor permit. So even if he wanted to set up seating out there, people could not have any alcohol. Whereas now if we include this in DORA, they could have alcohol into his parking lot. But I believe the goal of this is to have that boundary line stop at the backside of the properties. I don't think the goal is to have that alleyway actually be in there to where you can walk down it with the alcohol. I think it was just included as a natural boundary, if I remember correctly.
Okay, because I was just thinking out loud when I saw this, that carrying a beverage down a back alley all the way 2/3 way through downtown, just not sure how that would sit with a lot of people, but okay. Empty water goes behind that. Parking lot number 6, where Chick-fil-A truck was, isn't that part of Hernando's vision? And is that why, or it's just extra acreage or?
Extra acreage to allow for the possibility of setting up additional tables. If any restaurant, whether it's downtown restaurant or not downtown restaurant, you know, if Carmi's, for example, wanted to bring a pulled pork food truck in and they were to get the proper permits to even sell liquor from that, that would give you the option. So it was literally for things like that. That's why we included a few of these parking lots.
Okay, makes sense. Viaduct Bar, I see Fort Ball Pizzas in there, but not across the street. Just the rationale behind that for?
So the viaduct, the sidewalk is in there in front of the viaduct.
Oh,
So yep. So that includes his sidewalk. So yes, you could leave the viaduct with your drink and walk to downtown Tiffin.
okay. Pedal bike across from Calvert. Wouldn't it be nice to somehow include that pedal bike location, or that's not too close to Calvert?
I did not pay him to ask that either.
Sir?
I said I didn't pay Ken to ask that question.
Oh, okay. Well, it's either too close to Calvert, or if the pedal bike is a beverage business, I would think it'd be nice to, okay, forget that one.
Which property is the pedal bike property here on the map? I don't know, Danny, if you have it pulled up and can show us.
Yeah, if you on Madison Street on the other side of that Calvert's parking lot that's on Jefferson there, it'd pretty much be that next building there. So there's like a house in between the parking lot and where my garage is, and then my garage is pretty much right across the street from Calvert there.
Well, looking at the map, it looks like we have this. Hold on, how do I? Wait, can I share screen?
You should be able to. Yep.
Can you guys see my screen?
Now we can.
Yes.
Okay. So is this your property in here, or is it further south? Because here's Calvert.
Yeah, it's right across the street from Calvert.
So here.
No.
No, to your right and up.
North.
Go
Here.
up.
Yep,
And
that's
so
it.
I don't think there is any law against adding that property. So that would be up to council. We could easily do that. I don't think there are any rules, Brent.
No, you know,
I just-
you could, yeah, you could add that the street going down there. I guess I was thinking this through. So that means that somebody could get a door up, because the pedal bike does not have a liquor permit that there will be a permit owner within the district. But it means that somebody
Oh,
could
okay, well,
take
that takes,
a door up, but it could take the door a drink from a permit establishment, walk down to that business, and then can consume though alcohol on the pedal bike. So it just would allow somebody to take a drink down the street without being in violation of the open container law. And is that helpful to the business or not?
A lot of the people that come and start our tours, they go down to Madison Street. So the best, who would benefit the most would probably be Madison Street, because they would just get a beverage to come down to the bar or to the bike before their ride starts. Or when our ride ends, they could take their beverage to the next bar, when their ride's over.
No, no, I don't think they could, because you're talking about they're not going to have a door a drink. They can't take the beverage from your place to another establishment or into the area. You're not a permit owner, are you?
No, but I'm saying, like, say our last stop were to be Clover Club. We go back to our garage, and then they all have their Clover Club Dora drink. They then theoretically could go from my garage out into the Dora district, wherever their next destination were to be.
Okay, if they had a Dora drink.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
So, like I said, it would just help out Madison Street more than anyone else, probably, I would imagine. But
Yeah, I have no issues with that whatsoever. And we've got Matt Watson's listening in, as is Amy Reinhardt. So that could be a very simple change to just expand that border down that sidewalk and street, I would certainly think. We've changed this map already probably 10 times in the last week. So I don't think it would be that difficult to extend it just a little further.
cool.
okay, and two more and I'll get out of this. I saw another Ohio Dora conference, if you will, and they were talking about wristbands. Did the downtown group or Dora group consider wristbands versus cups, specifically Dora cups?
No, I don't think the discussion ever came up about wristbands. I don't believe so.
believe
think the
Amy Reinhardt
conversation
was on
has
that
been around.
Conference call from, I think it was Hamilton, Ohio, and they went to wristbands and at $1 a piece. But again, they kept talking about what is the purpose of the Dora. If the purpose of the Dora is to increase revenue for downtown businesses and restaurants, then selling Dora cups at an extra fee would be more beneficial to the business. If the purpose was to just enhance the downtown in general, then just charging $1 with the wristband seemed to make sense to some communities. So that's all. Just something to think about. Okay, those are all the easy ones. I kept my tough one for last. 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. I'm still uncomfortable with the 11 a.m. for the main reason is on my door sticker, when I went door to door in 2019, I had no Dora at 11 a.m. I wanted people to ask about what is a Dora and what do you mean no 11 a.m. I wanted to strike up conversations about that. Didn't get too many questions thing. But again, I'm no long-term politician, but if I told people no door at 11 in 2019, I'm just hesitant of changing my voice, my opinion, my belief, and it's not a belief. So someone help me out with this one here.
Yes, Councilman Gillig.
Well, I would also say that, you made that statement before a global pandemic, and, circumstances have certainly changed. I don't think anyone's going to hold your feet to the fire on that one, Councilman Jones. I understand where you're coming from, though. It's tough to walk back a statement, but, I think circumstances, call for this.
Okay, now that helps. And then just one other, I said I was going to put 7 days a week versus 5 days a week. What's the thought process on that?
Just that we have so many different businesses that are in the downtown that are open on Sundays and Mondays. It was to allow that all of the businesses to be helped. There are even some talking about, because of reduced capacity inside, opening more days of the week than they are open now. They're just looking for any way and possible to help their business. And because a lot of these restaurants downtown are going to have reduced capacity, really all of them will, because of the new rules that are in place. Booth seating is almost impossible unless you're going to completely enclose the booth with plexiglass panels that go up near the ceiling, or you're enclosing the entire booth in like a shower curtain or something. It almost makes it impossible. Tables can be spread apart. There's a lot of our restaurants that the primary reason people are able to sit down are in booths and whatnot. So it's to try to help them be available any and all days of the week, because a lot of them are they're going to have to expand hours, expand days that they're open, et cetera, to try to get anywhere near the business that they have had before, because there's probably not a single restaurant that we have in the downtown, or really anywhere in the city, that is going to be able to meet the guidelines that the governor and the Ohio Department of Health put out, and still be able to have the same amount of seating that they have now. So they're going to have to look at expanded hours, expanded days of the week, and expanding their seating into downtown or into the outdoors.
Okay. Well, 2 more things came to light, but why don't we let Mr. Kibler get in there? I've spoken enough here. Just let me get back in for 2 more and let him speak.
Okay, Rich, I was going to say, Rich, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Dawn had a comment. She wanted to get in.
Okay,
Can I
yes.
get in? I know I'm not visual for some reason, but can I get in now?
Yes, we can hear you, Dawn. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I just wanted to say, having been a no vote, I wanted to state very clearly that I do support this. I understand why we need to do it. I understand the reasoning for the expanded area. And I know 11/11 wasn't going to be crazy with a lot of people, but if we don't like it for some reason, it does stop in December. And so I wanted to make sure that I came on to wholeheartedly back everything that's being discussed and give my yes to getting this passed this time. That's it.
Thank you, Dawn. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you.
Councilman Leopard.
I would prefer a 12 o'clock start on Sunday, but I will vote for the 11. The reason I prefer it is because of churches.
Okay. Any other comments from Council? Ken?
I thought Kathy said Eric Kibler wanted to join us.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were addressing council questions first, and then I was going to allow.
I know Councilman Schuff has his hand up in there. I don't know if Kathy can get Tyler in or not.
He should be coming in now.
There he comes.
Go ahead, Tyler, whenever you're ready.
And Tyler, you are on mute. You may not realize that since you're on call-in and not visual. So you'll have to unmute yourself. That, or maybe Kathy can unmute you.
In the building or the meeting, I'm going to try to re-log into this thing real quick.
We hear you now.
I am muted him.
Yeah, I mean, I like the proposal, the way it's set up. I like the way we originally had it set up last year. I think we need to help out these small businesses. And like Dawn said earlier, it's kind of a trial run here till December. I think we need to show good faith effort here to our business community that we are trying to help them. And if we have all of them a consensus that this is something that they would like to explore or try, I don't see a ton of risk in this, but we can always make changes or alter things as time goes on. But I'm happy with the proposal, and I'll be a yes vote.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Councilman Jones.
Two more, and I think I'm answering my own questions, but it's definitely going to end December 31st of this 2020. There's no something in there that if things went well, we're going to continue on through 2022 or something like that. This is a 6-7 month deal, correct?
Correct. It automatically will expire.
And I know the answer to this one. And again, we don't want to talk negative about this, but we talk about if there's a problem, shutting it down. I don't like those 3 words, but that's part of this program also, correct?
Yes, council could, in theory, at any time vote to revoke the DORA through legislation. So yes.
Okay. Well, other than the 7 days a week and the 11 a.m., I'm not going to commit right now. I'll wait till 6 o'clock and stew about this, or I may have to sleep on it for first reading, second reading, whatever, but I'm just not going to commit at this point in time.
You got till June 22nd.
Oh, well, goodness. I can get a lot of sleep in until then. All right. Okay.
I will say though, Councilman Jones, I appreciate the transparency, but if you do have other concerns, I would appreciate if they're brought to council or to this committee prior to the vote. I don't want to get too far down the road without being able to address anything.
Okay. Well, no one likes surprises, and Councilwoman Boyle, I know you don't, but other than 11 a.m. and 7 days a week, those would be my main 2 discussion points.
Got it.
And I can keep them to myself for now and go from there.
Okay. Councilman Perry.
I would just have a question. To get it back, to get DORA back next year, would we have to go through the same process, the 3 readings and all that?
Yes. If it goes well, what we have talked, the plan would be to bring whatever proposal to council probably in late December, because I don't think it's as big of a deal. Of course, there are probably not going to be many, if any at all, utilizing DORA in January and February, but we would bring this back in late November, early December, and start the process with council so that it could be passed. If we were going to continue it, it could be passed, January. That way, once the warmer weather arrived, it would be here, because the real first event that we identified that this really has a strong benefit and impact to is most likely the St. Patrick's Day 5K. So as long as we had things done by that time, it's probably the most benefit. But yeah, the goal would be, if things go really well, to bring a new proposal back, or the same proposal, or whatever it would be, probably late November, early December, so that something was in place, whatever it was going to be, whether it was a reduced DORA, whether it was the same DORA, right around the first of the year.
Okay. And I know you already said this would be, that June 21st would be like the first time that we'd be able to vote for it, right? Or June 12th.
Whatever that Monday, 21st, 22nd, whatever. Yeah.
I guess we want, like, even if we did like some special meetings and stuff, we won't be able to speed that up.
No, because there's the state, well, let Brent answer it. Brent's got all the legal reasons why. I asked Brent the same thing, so I'll let him answer.
Yeah, the answer is that there is a prescribed procedure by statute that you have to follow. So not only our 3 reading rule, but the problem or the time delay is that we have to, council has to wait at least 30 days after the publication of the first notice of the application being on file with the city council. So that really takes us to that meeting special meeting in June to pass it. That's why you can't act any earlier by statute.
Okay.
Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Councilwoman Boyle. I did say 2 items. I'm going to add a third one. I did say 11 a.m. I did say 7 days a week. And the splash pad, I would hope in January 1st, if we continue this, the splash pad would be not part of this. I mean, I can see the summer concert series. I can see the amphitheater, all the seating, et cetera, et cetera. I can accept that and visualize that, but splash pad, parents sitting around drinking while the kids are running through there, I'm going to add splash pad for my third concern. So I'll keep quiet now.
Yeah, and Ken, if I could tell you that talking to Mr. Calnow and his board, they share the same concerns with you. So I don't think that the splash pad, once it's able to open, will be in any kind of a future DORA. That sounds like it's on their radar as well. They share those same concerns with you. So that would definitely be one of the tweaks for 2021. If and when we bring DORA back, that area would be eliminated, so long as splash pads are able to open that at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Perry.
Now, would it be possible to have the venue a part of it without the splash pad, or is it kind of a combo deal there?
Again, that will be up to the owner and the foundation. A lot of that's going to be what their wishes are. Last year, their wishes were to just have the whole part out. I guess maybe some of this is going to be trial and error and see how it goes this summer. And if it goes over really well and there's no issues, maybe they'll include it. But I don't want to answer for the foundation or the owner. So I think it's just going to be one of those things that come 2021, we'll have to see how things went in 2020 and see what their
Okay. Kathy, at this time, if there's anyone in the public who would like to comment, or if there are any questions, we can address them now.
We have one person with their hand up, a couple now. So in the waiting room, if you would please raise your hand and I'll let you in then. Thank you.
Hi there, this is David Zach. Hope everybody's doing well. I think what I wanted to say is, first of all, we've always been in support of this concept, but I think it's particularly important to show our support for the idea that we have to do everything to support our local businesses. And in particular, in the Corona economy, even as restaurants and bars open up, they will have to maintain social distancing guidelines. And their rents and their costs are very, very high, and keeping the requirements of social distancing and other things. So if we can provide them more space for their customers outside of what they've traditionally been used to, which has worked, but now no longer works to have the same number of people, I think that's really, really critical. And as was also mentioned, there has been a lot of appreciative businesses in other communities where this has been done, where they've said it's been critical to their being able to continue to survive. So really appreciate council willing to consider this at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Eric, Mr. Kubler, I believe you were the second one I saw come in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you for, as a business owner that would benefit from this, thank you for bringing it back to the table. But I guess my question is, I had some internet issues and missed like the first 3 minutes. Is there, where is the map? I saw you guys refer to the map and I saw it for a split second when when Mr. Mayor put it up on the split screen. But I guess I was just curious if that was available for everyone to see or no, I guess.
Mayor, I'm not sure if we're able to, are you able to share that or, okay.
Okay. Is there a way to like see this on other than just on the Zoom meeting or no?
Yes, it's a public document. Remember, it's not final,
Right.
subject to change. If you send me an email, I will gladly reply to you and anyone else who would like a copy of it. I will send it to them. I just need an email, so it'd be much easier in case I get 20 requests for me to just reply to each one individually versus trying to write down emails and shoot it out to different people. So just send me an email, mayor@tiffinohio.gov, and I'll reply with the map.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. And as I said, I believe this is something that will help our community, and I appreciate all of you for taking the time to consider it.
Thank you. Sorry, my view is a little bit different. I believe, was it Dave Spridgem? Were you on as well? Or did you have a comment or question? You are on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now, guys?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, first of all, thank you, council, for even considering this. I'm going to second what Eric says. You know, it's critical to our business. There's double the Doras out there than last time we visited this thing, and they've had no issues. It's a great time for Tiffin to step up and say, let's try it. If it doesn't work, you as council people can take it away. But I can tell you right now, I think it's going to be an important part of our downtown community. It's not just about drinking outside. It's about the fact that we have shoved everybody outside because of social distancing. And now we've given them the opportunity to have another enjoyment. I appreciate being here. If I didn't, I wouldn't expand my business to 3 now. And I just ask for your vote to make this happen.
Thank you.
Audrey Flood has raised her hand.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Yes, this is Audrey Flood, Development Manager at the Tiffin Seneca Economic Partnership. And I just wanted to add, as someone who works with our local small businesses and has been hearing from a lot of them lately, I think this is a really important tool for us to use right now to support our businesses under the current circumstances, and have heard from a number of them that this will be very helpful. So from the development perspective and supporting our businesses, I think it's really important to give this a shot right now.
Thank you, Audrey. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you. I would have to assume this is just exactly like last year's. We cannot change the application once we put it in ordinance form. Is that correct?
Brent, can you address that?
Yes, you'd have to go back through the procedure that's required by statute to have additional public hearing, and which would kind of just restart the process. Correct.
So if any council member has an issue with start times, boundary lines, or anything, we need to know and have things in writing and have changes made to the application prior to the 18th of May.
Yes, that's why it's so important that if council is not willing to support what we gave you today and what we discussed, we've got to know right away, because this is really, today's the last meeting before the next council meeting to where we can get it introduced. So if we don't have a majority of you steadfast in support of this, then if this is not passed on the 22nd of June, we're going to miss this entire summer again, because by the time we could get this started over and passed again, you'd be looking at middle or end of August. So if there are at least 4 votes now, we're good. But if there are not 4 votes for sure, then we've got to figure out how we get there, because once this is introduced on the 18th, it's done.
Councilman Gillig.
I would just like to say I will be a yes vote. I've been a yes vote all along, but I think it's doubly important right now to help our local businesses.
Thank you. Councilwoman Yanatuno.
Just a quick question, because I didn't catch it. Councilman Jones brought it up, and I know we kind of answered it, but I didn't catch until you put that map up again, because I didn't really have time to look at all that stuff, that the splash pad and the amphitheater are all included in that. We didn't include that last time. So what's the rationale in including it this time? Because there's no restaurant in that area.
I spoke with Mr. Kalnow, who's obviously the owner of the sites, and he informed me that the foundation has made the decision that the splash pad will not be opening at all in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic. And while they have not made official decision on the concert series, it looks very unlikely that at least the whole first half of that, if not the whole thing of that, will also be going by the wayside this year. So it was mainly to allow folks, if they're grabbing dinner or lunch and they want to grab a drink as well and walk down there and sit and just take in the scenery, or have yet another place to potentially sit out and just enjoy a nice day with a beverage, they could do so. But the splash pad with kids is definitely non-existent this year in 2020, from what Mr. Kalnow told me over the weekend when I spoke with him.
Okay, I'm still a yes. I just wanted to find out what that rationale was, so don't panic.
Sure, thanks.
Councilman Lippert.
Without going back and opening up my email, I do not remember if the tips, I think that is the correct program, was the tips in the application for the bar owners to be able to recognize someone that may be inebriated.
I know, you know what? I don't think that was specifically put in there. So do you have some language that you would suggest, or how you would like to see that worded in the application? Because I don't believe it's in it.
Well, if Dave is still listening in, is that something that bar owners could get their people trained before June?
Kathy, do you know if Dave Spurgeon is still on?
David Zach is on. Say Dave Spurgeon.
Dave Spurgeon, if he's still.
He is, and his hand's up. I'll allow him to talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so you have a couple of choices. One, tips could be done and you pay privately through like Beerco, or there is a service in Tiffin, and I can do a little research on that through the mental health board. They'll do it for free. And then that teaches every employee what to look for: intoxication, how to cut somebody off, how to nicely do it without having a ruckus, that kind of thing.
If we included that, Dave, if we included that with our application, could that be implemented and bar owners have their personnel trained by June 22nd?
I couldn't speak to that, sir, because I don't know what the face-to-face contact would be with the free service through the mental health board. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If it was something that could be done on the computer, like what we're doing right now, you probably could achieve that. My staff has already had, majority of them already have it, but I don't know what other bar owners have. The other thing I would submit to you is we've been doing curbside for 5 weeks now without any problem. So that, you know, you could factor that into this whole conversation too. But I'd be glad to look into it for you if you want.
It's something I would like to see. It's something I would demand to see in 2021.
Steve, is that something that you would feel more comfortable if we put in here that for this year it's strongly recommended, knowing that they would barely have more than a month to get this implemented, and then for 2021 we could look at if this is renewed or DORA is kept, that we make it mandatory, and then they'd have the whole winter to get their staff trained?
Yeah, I would buy into that, but in 2021, I would definitely have want the TIPS program to be included. And I would encourage any permit holder to have their employees trained in that program. Dave brought that up last year. I thought it was a great program and absolutely fell in love with it. And you know, I'll get by the rest of this year, but 2021, you know, I may have questions on times and TIPS program.
Well, I think that would give them plenty of opportunity, Steve, also, if we, you know, if this was something we passed towards the end of 2020, that would give them January, February, March to get all this training done and out of the way. So there's really no excuse at that point, so.
If I could say something there, Steve, that program is only about 4 to 5 hours long. So that would give people plenty of time to get it done.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Brent, Law Director.
Yeah, just to kind of follow up with that, I believe then, Steve, what you would be wanting is that that program would be a requirement in the ordinance or in the application initially, that as part of the public health and safety plan that's required as part of the application and then adopted by the ordinance. And so I think that's where it would be added for next year. Let's assume that we're working on it in that time frame. I'd like to also explore with Amy Reinhardt and others of whether this has been done, included in an ordinance for any other community, and if there's been any issues, concerns, or successes with including that in the plan.
We have Shane Thomas and Amy Reinhardt who would like to talk.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Shane?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say that the county commissioners did approve hosting public dining setups on our property downtown on the assumption that there would be some sort of DORA at some point. So, you know, we're supporting this idea. And also, I just want to give credit to all of you council folks who, you know, have evolved your position on this because of, you know, the changing times. And I think that'll be looked on very favorably by voters. So, you know, we've had to make a lot of tough decisions, and that has been well received by the voting public. So, thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Amy?
Good evening. I just wanted to let everyone know that we have worked with Firelands in the past on doing server training, specifically when we were working on the Jazz Festival and we had people out there serving. They do provide a free service, and we basically can set that up whenever they're available. And we can set it up on multiple occasions if we can only get a certain number of business owners there. This was actually something I was intending to be looking into to see if we could not set up sometimes for trainings, but they do that at no cost. So that is certainly an option that we have. And I know that when we originally sat down last year and did a committee of the whole meeting, a representative from Firelands was there, and she said she would be more than willing to work with us on that. So I will look into that and get something like that set up for the businesses.
Thank you, Amy. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you. If that's the case, I would like to have the TIP program included. And I see we have 23 participants and 9 in the chat room. And if there's no more public communication, I would be ready to make a motion.
Councilwoman Boyle, there's one person that joined by phone. I'd like to unmute just long enough to make sure that they did not have anything to say, and then we'll remute them.
Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Caller, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, they are muted again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Councilman Perry.
Yeah, I would be against adding the tips program for this year, just because I know there's probably a lot are already on these restaurant and bar owners' plate to have one more thing that their employees have to get done and do. I understand the thought process behind it, and next year I'm 100% probably behind that. But seeing that this thing, we want to get it going here in 3 weeks, in a month, to have that done by then, I think would be a challenging task. And I think the purpose behind this for right now is to help them and to get this going and help their business as much as possible. And I think that would just, I don't know, add one more thing to the plate. Obviously we want to be safe and stuff, but that would just be my take on that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Yanatuno. Councilwoman Yanatuno.
Yes, I had to get it on
No,
mute.
okay, I just wanted to-
At first, I'm like, yeah, Steve makes a valid point. But when Dan came in with what he said, he's absolutely right. They have enough to deal with. They're trying to clean everything and do everything and follow all the regulations. I think Steve's got a valid point, but let's cut him some slack and wait till January, would be my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you, Councilwoman Boyle. I would so move that this committee move forward and ask the law director to present an ordinance of application of DORA for the city of Tiffin by the May 18th council meeting, as presented in form as supplied to us by the mayor through our City of Tiffin email.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I just had a question real quick. If we second that, will we still be able to update the map and tweak some things, or is that final? Or
Mayor, are you able to answer that? I think you're specifically referencing adding in the Tiffin Pedal Company, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Brent had his hand up for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the answer is yes. And also, Steve, I think we were talking about in our timeline of having the application for the DORA filed on Monday. Then what council will do, they will authorize the publication of notices that are required. Those will go out, the earliest we can get in is probably middle of next week. And then we have to wait a good 30 days before you act on it. So again, that gets us to the 22nd as a special meeting, 22nd of June. So again, the application's filed with council and presented next Monday. The ordinance will actually be introduced on October 1st. I'm sorry, on June 1st. Then again, the second reading, June 15th at the regular meeting of council. And then you'll need a special meeting on the 22nd of June to read it for the third time and to pass the ordinance.
And the public hearing will be held on June 15th as well.
That is correct.
Well, I will second if we're still in that motion.
Okay, great. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Is there anything else, any other business to come before the committee? Yes, President Foat.
A question for the mayor. We've had these food trucks coming in. There's a permitting process they have to go through. Is that correct?
So yeah, food trucks are required to be inspected locally by the fire department, and I believe they're also inspected by the health department. And then they of course have to obtain a transient vendor permit, but that's really all they're required to do at this point. That's part of the reason also that we're putting together this policy that we're going to bring to council for public right-of-way usage for restaurants, food trucks, etc., because there really isn't anything right now. And even the transient vendor permit, or the one that the fire department inspects the food truck, we don't have any ability to deny that vehicle coming in just because we don't like them or we say the timing's bad or anything like that. Because I know it did come up a little bit None of that is involved in the decision. It's either you pass the inspection by the fire department for safety reasons, and the same thing with the transient vendor permit that they're required to get from the police department. The police don't get to say, well, we don't want this business in our community, and they just say, no, we're denying your permit. So it's basically, if you have all of these criteria, you can come here and set up, and that's what we tried to explain with a little bit of the negativity that we got from the Chick-fil-A truck coming in about the timing. We said, there's really nothing about that. There's no permit that we can deny legally and say you can't come to the city of Tiffin. So they could have pulled into the Krogan parking lot right next door and set up because they had their permits that they needed.
The Downtown Development Committee was working on guidelines at one point. Do you know where they're at as far as producing those and getting those over to council?
If Amy's on the call, I'd rather her answer that because I'm not 100% sure where it's at, and I'd hate to incorrectly state anything. She's got her hand up, so hopefully, Kathy, if you can get Amy Reinhardt.
Kathy, are you able to get Amy Reinhardt in the meeting? Yep.
There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Last Thursday, we had a Downtown Development Committee meeting, and what we thought was the final version was presented to the committee. There were a couple of suggestions for tweaks and changes, but we are in the final stages of putting that together. So with the edits that are coming, that should be done very shortly.
Thank you. Rich, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, is there any other business to come before the committee today? Well, thank you everyone for your time. I appreciate everyone's efforts towards this. I know this has been a long road for council, so hopefully this will help a lot of businesses, especially in the downtown area, and this will be beneficial to everyone. So thank you again for everyone and their efforts to this. If there's no other business to come before the committee, I would like to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
All right, thank you everyone.